Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we have just a massive stack of sources on the table.
I'm not. It is a huge pile.
We've got campaign master references, detailed session logs, and these incredibly thick character dossiers.
They are impressively detailed.
And we are taking all of this material and breaking down a pivotal, just heart-stopping moment from a tabletop RPG campaign.
Right.
We're focusing entirely on the anatomy of a perfect, chaotic heist. Specifically, we're looking at Session 7, Dauntless Escape.
Dauntless Escape. It's an absolute masterclass in tension and game design.
It really is. Our mission today is to unpack the desperate moments where a party of fugitive heroes fights free of the oppressive Iron Lion control, reclaims their confiscated gear, and then pilots a stolen military warship straight into an unnatural storm.
And the campaign documents we're looking at, they show a story that has reached an absolute boiling point at the table.
Oh, for sure.
The players aren't just trying to win an encounter anymore. They are trying to survive against an entire city-state's military apparatus. Every action has a massive consequence.
Yeah.
The dice rolls are literally life or death, and the environment itself is acting as an active, hostile force against the party.
The setup here is wild. Imagine you are trapped in a hostile city. Your enemies are rapidly closing in.
Right.
Your only viable way out is stealing a top-tier, pristine military warship called the Dauntless.
Which is no small feat.
No.
Okay.
Oh, and this ship happens to be powered by incredibly dark, corrupt magic. And to top it all off, you have exactly 60 seconds before an entire army descends on you to wipe you out.
It is the ultimate pressure cooker scenario for a group of players. You have a strict ticking clock, an overwhelming enemy force that just breaks the action economy, and a vehicle that the characters barely understand.
Let alone know how to pilot.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are starting right in the thick of it down at Tahala Harbor.
Right.
The party is actively fleeing the Golden Lions, the brutal regime that controls the city of Tahala.
Right. They're on the run.
And they somehow managed to board the Dauntless, this pristine patrol vessel docked in the harbor. But it's not empty. To really grasp the gravity of this sequence, we have to look at it through the eyes of an NPC, a non-player character who is already trapped down in the ship's brig.
Yes.
That brings us to Vorak Tidechain. What do the dossiers tell us about him?
Vorak is such a compelling anchor for this scene. According to the DM's notes, Vorak is a dragonborn bosun. He's 45 years old, with sea green scales that the notes specifically describe as catching the ambient light like kelp underwater.
That's a great visual.
It really is. And he is a veteran sailor to his core. His physical description tells that story immediately.
Right.
He has these thick, pronounced roque scars crisscrossing his palms and his forearms from decades of hauling lines on the open ocean.
And the session logs mention he has this very specific obsessive habit while he's locked in the brig. He's constantly counting, right?
Yes, the DM portrays him pacing the brig, muttering things like, 17 crates, 4 damaged, 13 secure. It's an incredible role-playing detail. It isn't just a nervous Siddiq. It's a deep-seated coping mechanism.
Because he's a sailor who brings order to chaos through numbers.
Exactly. He maps his environment. But right now, locked in the brig of the Dauntless, the numbers aren't making sense, and the ship is in absolute agony. He literally hears the ship screaming.
Screaming.
Yeah. It isn't the clean, familiar sound of timber under sail. It's iron straining. And beneath that, there is this low, terrible hum vibrating through the floorboards.
And we know from the campaign notes that the hum is coming from the live necrotic cores in the ship's belly, the Series 6 cores.
Right.
The engine of the Dauntless is powered by highly volatile dark magic, and it's rattling his teeth. He knows exactly what that sound means from his past, and he's bracing himself.
And then suddenly, heavy boots hit the ladder.
Yeah, the passage outside the brig cells is described as cramped, barely wide enough for 2 people side by side, lit only by flickering, low-oil lanterns. And out of nowhere, 6 heroes crash into the space.
What's fascinating here is the psychology of this entrance, both for the NPC and the players at the table.
How so?
Well, from Vorak's perspective, these aren't shining knights coming to the rescue. They don't look like typical saviors. The logs note they are soaked to the bone from the freezing rain outside.
Right, they're a mess.
They are splattered in red and black blood. They are desperate, cornered animals executing a highly tactical strike. They spill into the lantern light like they just fell down the stairs together, completely shedding their Golden Lion prisoner colors for good.
It's pure visceral survival. And the interaction that happens next between the players and this NPC is fantastic. You have Orthez, the party's paladin.
The Leonin.
Yeah, the player dossier describes Orthez as a Leonin, a tawny-furred lion folk with a weathered mane tied in old, frayed campaign braids. He is broad-shouldered, battle-scarred, and intensely stoic. He locks eyes with Vorak through the bars.
While Gabo is doing his thing.
Right. Meanwhile, Gabo, the party's goblin artificer, is rapidly rolling sleight-of-hand checks to pick the locks on the cells.
And this dialogue exchange is incredibly brief. There are no grand, sweeping speeches or persuasion checks.
None.
Orthez just looks at the Dragonborn and asks one simple, vital question. Can you sail her?
And Vorak responds with a suspicious wear.
And Orthez just says, out.
I love the goblin's reaction in the logs. Gabo just half laughs, half coughs while working the lock and mutters, out's a start.
It perfectly captures the player desperation at that moment. They don't have a grand master plan mapped out. Step 1 is simply survival. Step 1 is out.
Yeah.
But the most thematic role-playing moment here is what the player controlling Orthez does next. Once the cell is open, he grabs a boat hook from the wall rack and hands it to Vorak.
Now, let me push back on that for a second.
Yeah.
Is handing him a boat hook really a profound role-playing choice? Or is it just a player being pragmatic because a boat hook has a terrible damage die and they want to keep the good weapons for themselves?
It's a fair question, especially knowing how players hoard loot. But look at it from the narrative impact. Vorak has been treated as a prisoner, a mere number, a piece of cargo by the Golden Lions.
True.
By handing him a boat hook, a specific maritime tool, not a sword or a dagger, Orthez is making a statement of recognition. He's implicitly saying, I don't need you to be a frontline soldier right now. I need you to be a sailor. I need you to do what you do best.
Oh.
Treating Vorak as a critical member of the crew fundamentally shifts his allegiance on the spot.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, think about a time a leader gave you the exact tool you needed to do your job in a crisis, rather than just treating you as another body in the room. You bypass a difficult persuasion check by simply validating the NPC's core identity.
Exactly.
And they desperately need him on their side because the clock is literally ticking.
This is where the DM's pacing is just phenomenal. As the party and the freed prisoners rush up the ladder toward the main deck, one of the party members, a human gambler in a nice coat, is standing at the top, calmly counting down the seconds until the lion guards regroup. He is just calling out the numbers 45, 40.
When a DM puts an actual physical timer on the table, it completely changes the player psychology, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shatters any attempt at optimal play. Usually players want to sit back, discuss tactics, and maximize their action economy.
Yeah, they want a plan.
When you impose a strict 60-second countdown, you force visceral, immediate choices. The gambler counting down creates an incredible sense of urgency. They have a matter of rounds to secure the deck before they are swarmed by an unwinnable number of guards.
And securing the deck is no small feat. Standing in their way, right on the rain-slicked wooden planks, is the ultimate obstacle. They have to break the iron line control of the ship, but to do that, they have to get through a boss fight.
Yeah, the big one.
They have to fight the Painted Fang. What does the stat block for a creature like this even look like?
The campaign dossiers describe the Painted Fang in terrifying detail. This isn't just a standard guard. This is a heavy hitter designed to drain the party's resources. He is a massive 8-foot-tall, 400-pound hybrid, a mix of half-giant and Yuan-Ti.
So we're talking about a giant snake man with overwhelming strength.
Precisely. Mechanically, the giant blood gives him a massive strength modifier and a huge pool of hit points. He has a barrel chest, tree trunk legs, and shoulders wider than doorways.
The roughing.
But his Yuan-Ti heritage dictates his appearance and gives him nasty traits like poison immunity. He has a reptilian serpent head with no nose, just nostril slits and piercing yellow gold slit eyes. His tongue constantly flicks out to taste the air.
And the tattoos. The logs make a huge deal out of his tattoos.
Right, that's where his title comes from.
Yeah.
His entire body, head, face, neck, torso, layered over his gray-green scales, is covered in intricate golden ritual tattoos. In game terms, these aren't just decorative flavor. They are dense magical wards. They likely provide magic resistance, high armor class, and legendary resistances. Serpents, spirals, tribal script. The golden ink actively glows against his dark scales. He is a walking weapon of magical and physical power.
The session logs outline a brutal, highly tactical fight. The DM used the environment brilliantly. The rain is hammering the deck, causing visibility issues. Lightning is flashing and blood is slicking the wooden planks, forcing dexterity saving throws just to maintain footing.
It's a chaotic scene.
The party has to throw everything they have at this monstrous enforcer. They are burning spell slots, using the environment, fighting as a unified front, until finally they manage to break through his wards and bring the painted Fang down. They kill him right there on the deck of the Dauntless.
Which is a monumental achievement given their depleted state. They didn't just survive an encounter, they eliminated a major named enforcer of the regime.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because of what the players decide to do immediately after the boss drops, the adrenaline is still spiking, the gambler is still counting down those final seconds, the rain is pouring, but they take a crucial, deliberate moment.
They do.
They don't just secure the wheel and flee. They go for the loot.
Well, in a tabletop role-playing game, looting the boss is practically a sacred tradition. But narratively and mechanically, this specific loot haul is a massive shift in their campaign status.
They dive into the hold and reclaim all of their confiscated gear, every magic item, every specific weapon they lost when they were captured. Plus, they secure a significant haul of Golden Lion coin and valuable cargo already stored on the ship.
This is the turning point of the entire campaign act. 60 seconds ago, in game time, they were desperate, cornered prisoners in rags running for their lives. By securing their gear and taking control of the ship's resources, the power dynamic completely inverts. They are no longer victims fleeing a cell. They are now an equipped, fully armed, incredibly dangerous crew commanding a military vessel. They have agency again.
But they aren't out of the woods. The DM doesn't let up. As they finally unmoor the ship and clear the harbor wall, they look back. The Golden Lion rifles are sparking orange from the harbor quay in the dark, taking long-range shots at them.
Yeah.
But the small arms fire is the least of their problems. The DM introduces a massive environmental horror closing in right behind them.
The storm wall. The session logs emphasize that the players quickly realize this is not natural weather.
Far from it. The sky has turned this sickening black-green color. The lightning isn't flashing across the sky in streaks. It's threading through the clouds and spiraling inward, almost like water violently circling a drain.
Such a great visual.
And the thunder doesn't rumble, it hits. The logs describe it as feeling like something massive is beating on the sky from the other side of reality.
It's an apocalyptic visual, but mechanically it functions as a terrifying environmental hazard. The regime is firing at them from the docks, and this unnatural, magical cataclysm is literally chasing them out to sea. The DM is using the storm as a wall to funnel the party forward, preventing them from turning back or lingering near the coast.
And just as they hit the open water, pushing through the leading edge of this nightmare storm, two figures suddenly erupt from the churning ocean and vault over the rails, landing squarely on the deck of the Dauntless.
Flotsam and Jetsam.
The Water Genasi twins. The logs describe them as visually striking. Flotsam has this wild, foam-white hair, and his sister Jetsam has sea glass skin and webbed hands.
Right.
They are former sewer guides from Tahala, part of an underground resistance the party met earlier. They operate with absolute eerie synchronization. They hit the deck running, immediately grabbing lines and shouting nautical orders, helping Vorak rig the sails.
The mechanics of this are brilliant. It's essentially a massive readied action by these NPCs.
Wait, let's talk about the sheer insanity of that plan. Out of the ocean, in the middle of an unnatural, magical hurricane. Who survives that, let alone plans for it?
That is the beautiful madness of these characters, and it shows the DM rewarding the players' earlier social interactions. Flotsam and Jetsam were literally treading water out in a deadly, unnatural storm, simply hoping that someone inside the city would be crazy enough to steal a warship, break through the blockade, and pick them up so they could help sail it away.
It's completely insane. But it works so perfectly.
It organically highlights the central theme of this entire campaign arc. We see this ragtag group of misfits, fugitives, and rebels coming together in the absolute center of chaos. They don't have a long shared history or a unified grand plan, but they have a shared immediate necessity.
Yeah.
They are bound together by the extreme violent circumstances of their escape. It's the found family dynamic, but forged entirely in the fires of survival.
And to complete that survival, they have to do something unthinkable. The only way to outrun the pursuing Golden Lions and escape the apocalyptic storm wall is to punch the ship straight into something called the necrotic corridor.
The necrotic corridor is essentially a magically corrupted shipping lane. It's a tear in the fabric of the ocean. It's the primary reason this specific ship, the Dauntless, is so valuable to the regime.
Because the ship's engine relies on those Series 6 necrotic cores we mentioned earlier. As they enter the corridor, the cores start singing this low, terrible note again. It's so intense it rattles the player's teeth. The ship bucks violently, and the logs use this incredible phrase. The Dauntless punches into the corridor like a fist through glass.
It's a violent, jarring transition from the material plane into this corrupted space. They're ripping a hole in reality to use this dark magic fast lane to escape the storm.
So they make it through the initial breach. The storm fades slightly behind the magical barrier of the corridor. The immediate adrenaline of the boss fight, the ticking clock, and the flight starts to fade into a cold, hard reality at the table. They are alive, they have the ship, now what?
Now the players need to decide on a destination. The sandbox opens back up.
Orthez, still dripping wet in his heavy plate armor, walks up to Vorak at the helm. He hands the Dragonborn a compass. But the compass doesn't point north anymore?
No.
The magic of the corridor has completely warped it, and Orthez, acting as the newly minted captain, gives Vorak his first actual order. He tells him to set the course for Site T28.
Vorak is a veteran sailor of these specific waters. He knows the naval charts, he knows exactly what Site T28 is, and the DM ensures the players know the weight of that choice.
Because Site T28 isn't a safe haven, it's a terrifying fuel processing station run by the Golden Lions. It's the exact, heavily fortified place where the regime renders down living prisoners to create the very necrotic cores that are currently powering their ship.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the narrative brilliance of the player's choice here is astounding. The party has just executed a miraculous, desperate heist to escape a Golden Lion prison city. They have barely survived a high-level boss fight against the Painted Fang, navigated a magical storm, and breached into a corrupted dimension.
Yeah.
And their very first act of freedom. They deliberately steer their stolen ship directly toward a darker, far more dangerous Golden Lion stronghold.
They completely reject the idea of running away to hide and lick their wounds. They are taking the fight directly to the source of the corruption. It is such a cinematic, mic-drop way for the players to end Session 7.
It's the ultimate declaration of intent. The hunted have decided in their very first moments of true freedom and agency to become the hunters. They are leveraging the enemy's own momentum against them.
So what does this all mean? If we look at the intense momentum of Session 7, the ticking clock, the desperate boss fight, the blind leap into the storm, it highlights a fascinating truth about taking irreversible leaps.
Absolutely. When players or people commit to a massive irreversible action, the landscape changes instantly.
You steal a military warship to escape a hostile city, and suddenly you can't go back. You are committed to the plunge. And in that freefall, think about momentum in your own life. You find yourself relying on completely new allies, trusting people you barely know, and digging deep into your own ingenuity just to keep your head above water. You don't have time to second guess. You only have time to act.
That kind of forced momentum is terrifying, but it strips away all the non-essentials. It clarifies purpose. When you are moving that fast, you only have time for what truly matters. Trust, immediate survival, and the very next step forward.
It clarifies everything. But as we close out this breakdown, the source material leaves us with a really dark, lingering concept to ponder.
It does.
The party successfully stole the Dauntless. The ship undeniably allowed them to escape certain death. But the Dauntless is powered by those Series 6 necrotic cores. That is dark, corrupt magic, created by the suffering of prisoners, engineered by the exact evil regime they are fighting against.
It creates a profound internal conflict for the characters moving forward.
Exactly. What happens to a hero's morality when their only vehicle for freedom is fueled by the exact evil they are trying to destroy? Can you truly sail away from corruption if corruption is the very thing powering your escape?
That is the heavy mechanical and narrative burden they have chosen to carry into the next session.
A heavy burden indeed. Something for you to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us in the chaotic, rain-slick harbor of Tahala. We'll catch you next time as we continue to explore the mechanics and the madness of this incredible campaign.